This is Glen Young with Miyar Adventures, and we're here on the Coleman-Deming route of Mount Baker. We're going to try to demonstrate full crevasse rescue, which is used if one of your team members were to fall in a crevasse and unable to self-rescue. Ollie! Okay.
1 second.
You'll see in this particular case, one person is able to hold the fall without a great deal of difficulty because this is representing the end of our rope team and the last member fell in, so we're actually holding the fall downhill. A lot of times you don't even need to go into full self-arrest to hold this kind of a fall, and there can be quite a bit of friction of the rope cutting through what could be a lip on that crevasse. This piece that you see here is really important. Anytime you're practicing crevasse rescue, you want to have a backup system. So that's the backup system. He couldn't be hauled through that, and that's 2 pieces of protection. So the first thing that I need to do, holding this fall, is really get my feet in. Okay? You might stay on one side of the rope, or sometimes it's more comfortable to flip over and have that rope pass between the legs, okay? At this time, it's ideal for the back climber, or in this case the leader, since the back of a rope fell in, to assist in the rescue and to start coming to me and helping to get out a picket. But for this scenario, I'm going to demonstrate kind of a hybrid, so as if I am a solo rescuer, and he's going to stay as part of my backup system since we're practicing live crevasse rescue. And there's someone who's actually in a crevasse behind me. Okay, so first thing, I need to get out my snow protection. In this case, I have a snow picket. Keep everything within reach, because anything I put out of reach won't be able to reach in a moment, because I have to hold this fall the entire time.
1 second.
Easiest way.
1 second. I just want to be able to see what you're doing.
Okay. Easiest way to unspring a picket is kind of how I showed. And then this snow is a little bit soft here, and picket's going to go in kind of easy. So I'm actually going to do a dead man as my first piece of protection. Whether you do this depends on a lot of times the temperature at night, whether the snow is frozen, and what is oftentimes called picket snow. But in order to make this dead man, I'm going to have to re-sling this picket. So that's going to get slung through the center hole, which on this SMC picket is down here, it's the last hole. And at this point I'm going to remove my gloves. Sometimes gloves stay on, but a lot of times getting them off is going to be fastest. You're only going to be here for a little while, and especially on a warm day like this, better dexterity equals speed. This whole time, I don't know what's happened to Jesse, the member of my rope team who's fallen down in that crevasse, okay? So he could be seriously injured. I'll place this picket in front of me, but well within reach. Okay, and then I'm going to dig. When I dig, keep in mind, this is a rope under tension behind me. I want to make sure that I'm never going to come in contact with that with anything sharp. This is a loose rope in front of me, not nearly as dangerous. And you want to dig your T-slot, which is what the type of snow anchor I'm digging is called, longer than the picket, because as you dig, the shape of your hole tends to be like this, just because of the ergonomics. Okay, so if you get it wider, then you can actually get the picket at the very bottom. Okay. It's nice once you get it deep enough. In this case, this is pretty dense snow. I'm only going down close to a foot, and that's plenty. Let's get it deep enough, try to undercut the side that's going toward the load. I'm going to undercut that with my adze tool here. Help that picket set. If the snow is not particularly dense, you may need to work harden it, which means stamp it down. You can do that with your knees, or you can do that with your hands. Okay, and then next, I'm going to set the picket in, make sure it's oriented properly, okay, and I'm going to cut a slot for this tether. Okay, in this case I'm using a daisy chain because it gives me a few more options. And keep in mind, any individual pocketet daisy chain is not full runner strength. It's only clipping into the end, or if all the individual pockets were to blow out, does it make it full strength. Okay, never clip two pockets with the same carabiner. This is the harder part, to try to reach far enough back here while I'm holding that load. And while I'm doing this, if you're the member of the party who's in the hole, the easiest thing for those members on the surface, the best thing you can do, try to bridge the gap, maybe stem a little bit so that you're holding some of the load. Try to find a shelf to stand on. Or if you have an ice screw on you and you're down where there's hard ice, you put that ice screw right under the glacier wall, clip into it so it takes the load off the rescuers up above. Adds a lot of safety and a lot of speed to the rescue. I want to get this part of the T-slot at least as deep as the picket, otherwise the picket will get levered out. Okay, that's pretty good. Inside. Alright. So, I'm going to backfill. Okay, make sure to work hard in that in there. And I'm going to backfill the portion where I dug out the stem of the T as well, because that creates a point of weakness in the anchor. So don't backfill some of that. Okay. Okay. At this point, I'm going to locate my prusik here, okay, which I was walking with the prusik still attached to my rope. So that helps quite a bit because it means I don't have to attach one. I have it here. I'm going to slide it down as far as I can slide it with my finger. Okay, that's good. And then I'm going to clip that in. Because I've used a daisy chain, I can clip that in at any point. This is going to mean I'm not going to have to walk back toward the crevasse as far for this to take the load, which is less unsettling for my partner. Make sure this is an auto-locking carabiner. Okay, I'm going to slide that down again. Make sure it's going to bite. And at this point, okay, buddy, you got me as a backup?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to back up. I don't know if you can hear me, Jesse, but I'm going to back up. You're going to lower a little bit. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to slowly back up. I'm looking at this picket the whole time, ready to jump in a self-arrest position. And remember, self-arrest can be done with or without an ice axe, especially in snow like this, which is quite soft. Okay, so that prusik seems to be holding the load pretty well, but you always want to have at least 2 anchors in the system. So we have 1 anchor here, 2 anchors being me, and actually in this case 3 anchors with a 3rd member of my rope team. As we transition, I'm going to want to get out of this system so I can start get down to Jesse to see what's going on. Can you back me up? Go ahead and prusik in, all right? So my partner is going to start prusiking toward me. As he prusik towards me, he's going to serve as a secondary anchor when I undo this. And I'm not going to undo my knot until he's right here and close and ready to be that backup in the system. So you can go ahead and pass right by that backup in the system since we have one in and he has an ice screw in the hole too.
Right position.
Go ahead and unclip yourself in there. Okay. Keep on pressing it this way. Great. Okay. Great, Nick, how about you stay right there? Go ahead and get in a seated position and stamp your heels in really solid. Okay, and you're going to be the secondary anchor until I can get this taken care of, okay? So now we still have 2 anchors if I take myself out. There's 3 anchors. I'm about to reduce it to 2, okay? I'm going to need a little bit of slack. You want to scoot forward, just slight amount. So now it's all on one, but if it were to slip, you would immediately catch it. I'm also going to clip this carabiner, which is the end carabiner for my picket, into the rope as a stopper. So even if this were to fail, he would slide down and jam into this locking carabiner, okay? And with that little bit of slack, I should be able to take out my butterfly knot, which was how I attached myself to the rope in this case. Okay, go ahead and stretch back again, or at tension with that prusik. So now we're maintaining a nice line here with this dead man, and then my buddy being the backup to that dead man. And that's going to allow me to put in a secondary anchor, in this case another dead man, something very strong, so I have to rappel in. I feel comfortable doing that. Or if we have to do a haul, which can increase forces, especially if he starts adding friction, or there's friction added from this cutting through the rope, or from my partner getting hauled up a wall, that added friction can add force to the anchor. So we want to account for that and make sure the anchor is absolutely bomber. So I use my picket, so I'm going to go back and see if my buddy has one. If you didn't have a second picket, you could use an ice axe, since you have a couple ice axes. That's usually the most accessible thing. Keep in mind, ice axes are still tools, and you may or may not want to use them because they're good for digging. Other things you might be able to use, something like a shovel blade, a couple trekking poles lashed together. You just want to make sure whatever you use, you sling it right in the middle. You're a dead man. Okay. And my second picket, I'm going to place back. Here's where I place my first picket. I can see where I work hardened. I'm going to place it back a little bit further. Okay. Still roughly in line, right in this area. Okay. A little closer. Yep. But if this picket starts to fail, you don't want it to start sliding forward and hitting your other picket. In this snow, it's very, very unlikely, but if you're in a continental snowpack or a very cold time of year, maybe early season, then that could be different. You might have a lot of powder. And in that case, you'd want to work harden. So work hardening, let's demonstrate that. I like to outline an area that's at least 2 foot in front of the picket, so it's about a picket square. Okay, and then just stamp. Compress, squeeze out any of the air that's in the snowpack to make it a stronger anchor. Okay.
Sit on your backpack.
Okay, that's going deep enough for this knot. Drop that in. Again, make sure you cut a slot for the stem of that T, at least as deep as where the picket is stuck. Okay, and the sling on this picket isn't long enough to reach, so I have a cordelette on me. I can use that cordelette. I can either use a non-locking carabiner, or in this case I might want those resources later. So I'm going to do what looks very similar to a girth hitch right on the end. Okay, but if I set it, then unlike a girth hitch, you can actually create a lot of force in one spot. It does not increase the force very much, and keeps my anchor materials just about as strong as they are without a hitch applied. Okay, so there we go, just like that. Something to keep in mind if you're doing a rescue uphill direction, There's an uphill pull on this picket, so it's really important that the snowpack be solid and it's well undercut, or your anchor is getting an upward pull could fail. Okay, it's really you got to be really mindful of that as well when you start performing your hull system. So you start providing even more upward force, you can rip your pickets right out, even though they might be really good placements. Okay. Again, fill in the long part of the T-slot as well. That is a point of weakness. Okay. Now there's really a couple different ways that I can equalize this. Since I have a cordelette already, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide that cordelette through this locking carabiner here. It's becoming my master point, and I'm going to pull on it. When I pull on it, that's going to create 2 to 1, okay, at this point, and it's going to start transferring some of the load from this dead man picket over to this dead man picket, and the idea is to try to equalize them. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit better dexterity and also make it a little easier for the camera to see what's going on. Pull on this, transfer some of that load, and then, just like those of you who've done a trucker's hitch, put a bite through that, cinch up on that bite. Okay, and then I'm going to do an overhand to lock that off and make sure that can't come out. Okay, so that's great. We've got it equalized between 2 points. We have kind of a master point set up. This guy's clipped into it. And so now it's a good time to go down and check on him. But first, I'm going to want to clip one more carabiner that's going through both of these right here to create a master point that I can then put a clove hitch on and then use that clove hitch as an anchor for my approach to the crevasse in case I were to fall in or in case I need to rappel. So you can go ahead and scoot forward slowly, keeping an eye on these anchor materials, making sure that prusik is still working. Okay, keep on coming, keep on coming. That looks good. Okay, great. Okay. Do this. Got that. Okay, you can come on out. And if this were dangerous terrain, then you may want your friend to stay anchored here. In this case, it's not too bad. There's a little bit of crevasse back here. So in this kind of a scenario, you might just warn your buddy and make sure that all backpacks and things like that stay anchored and out of the way. You could also, if you had a shovel available, you could dig a hole, just place everything in. I'm going to put this clove hitch in with a little bit of slack, and putting in the clove hitch with a little bit of slack is going to allow me later to put on a pulley in this location. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go see my friend. So I'm going to take a look, see what I've got available here. So I have another prusik here. Do you have any prusiks on you?
Yeah, I got one on the rope already.
Okay. Do you have another one on your waist at all? On your harness?
Yeah.
Awesome. You mind if you hand that off to me? One thing that you really want to make sure you do before you go down and see your friend is you might find that he or she is in a difficult position and needs help immediately. And so you might want to rappel down right away to help. If you rappel down and you don't have another prusik hitch on you to ascend back out, you've not made the problem necessarily much better than you might need to get rescued out yourself. So make sure that whenever you're approaching the lip of the crevasse, you take everything with you that you need. I like to bring my whole backpack because the person down there might need extra warm layers too. Okay, I'm going to clip myself in. The locking carabiner. See what I've got. Do you have a pulley with you?
No.
I'm going to leave this pulley on the anchor for you to use, okay? Okay, so now I'm going to go down and check on my friend Jesse and see what's going on down there, and keep this material available. Alright, grab my backpack, keep my gloves with me. And my ice axe might be important too, especially if I need to prepare a lip. You want to take those coils off, and you can get out of the system if you feel comfortable, and that's going to allow me to have a little bit of slack. Go ahead and open those up, and you can untie if you feel safe doing so. Otherwise, feel free to attach yourself to the anchor with double retainer here. While you get that undone, go ahead and pull that prusik off there. Okay, good. Squeeze that out. Okay, and as I go, once I get close to the crevasse lip, where I think there might be a falling hazard, let's put my ice axe off to the side, and it's not a bad idea to back yourself up with a clove hitch, especially if the reason for this crevasse fall where crevasse bridge break, which is unusual in the Northwest, but sometimes happens, early season in particular. So put that on there so you're not going to get caught just by a prusik hitch. How's it going, Jesse?
Glenn.
You doing okay?
Yeah.
You found a way to hang out there, huh? Do you need a jacket or anything? Did you hurt yourself at all? Okay, do you need to take your backpack off for this rescue to happen, or do you need to leave it on? Okay, that's no problem. Okay, do you want help out, or do you want to press it out on your own?
I'll let you get that off. What do you think?
Okay, for this scenario, we'll just have you get hauled out.
Okay.
Okay?
I have an ice screw in. Should I take that out?
Great. Right now, you can leave the ice screw in, and then once we're ready to haul, we'll let you know, and then I'll communicate with you, and you can take that ice screw out, okay?
All right, thank you.
So Jesse put in an anchor for himself to get the weight off of our team to make our rescue easier, to protect himself, okay, in case we didn't do the rescue properly. That's a very, very good idea. If you have those materials on, you can try to use them. All right, we're going to do a full haul. So I'll let you know what I want you to do, okay? So first thing, I'm going to back away from the lip a little bit to a point where I feel comfortable. I may need to prepare the lip if there was much of an overhang. In this case, there's not much of an overhang. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put padding on the lip, but I'm not going to actually chop away the lip very much. And I find that some of the best padding is actually a backpack. So I'll take a look and see what I got inside my backpack. See if there's anything that I want to get out of it before I use it. For my own comfort, something like a water bottle might be nice because we don't know how long this rescue is going to take. I'm going to dig a hole for that water bottle. Make sure it's well out of the way. Okay. If I have some warm layers, in this case I'm not worried about it, but if I have warm layers, I might want to consider that. I have a pad here as well. That could be used for someone's comfort. So all those items you might want to pull out, put in a hole. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to speed this up and not do that. Okay. Making sure I'm still well connected. Pull myself up right near the lip here. I can lift this up usually so the rope stretches a bit. I'm going to keep weighting it there. Okay, I'm going to pull this up and try to slide my backpack underneath it. Okay. And And that's going to keep, as we pull, keep the rope from cutting deeper and deeper into the lip. And then I'm going to anchor the backpack, keeping my ice axe well away. Okay. Because I don't want any tensioned rope running over something with edges. Okay. Clip that in so if my pack ends up going down in the hole, it's not going to go very far. It's not going to hurt my friend. Okay. At this point, I'm going to put my tractor on. And a tractor is simply a prusik combined with a pulley and a carabiner. If you didn't have a pulley, it could just be a prusik and a carabiner. Okay, I have a pulley and a carabiner here. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a prusik. It could be any friction hitch done with a prusik loop. It could even be a climb heist done with something longer. In this case, I find auto block is pretty quick and easy. Attach an auto block. An auto block, you simply spin the rope around quite a few times. This is a relatively long prusik loop, that is. So I'm going to spin that around quite a bit. This pulley is going to go on the strand that I'm on. And to make it efficient, I'm going to put my prusik on the crevasse side of this tractor, and that's going to allow me to switch directions and use it to pull. You'll see in a moment. Okay, so my tractor is all set up here to pull, but up at the top we have to get a pulley in the system. Okay, can you see the master point there?
Yeah.
Great. Would you mind attaching the pulley through? I'll give you some slack. I still have my clove hitch in some unlikely event where I were to slip and fall, if this was a slope in the opposite direction and come down toward the crevasse, and this were not to engage, this being my prusik, then the clove hitch would still catch me. In this scenario, I'm actually going to take that out because there's very little chance of me falling into the crevasse when it's downhill this direction, and also I think it'll add a little bit of clarity, but whether or not you do that depends on the situation. Okay. Let me know when you're ready. Okay, so I'm going to take up this slack that was created when he undid my backup knot. In this case, I used a clove hitch for that backup knot. And now I'm going to slide this tractor down as close to the lip as I feel safe doing so, from a safe position where I don't feel like there's any chance I could fall into the same crevasse. Make sure that everything is catching properly. Okay, are you ready to manage?
Ready.
Okay, so the man down here at the anchor is going to manage my prusik hitch. I have a prusik minding pulley on there, but letting that prusik come up all the way to that prusik minding pulley is still relatively inefficient, because if I release my pull stroke, it's still going to pull back the length of that prusik, which in this case is about 6 inches, and I want to keep every foot that I've gained. Okay, so he's going to manage that prusik. If you didn't have a pulley there, then it would be essential you had someone to perform that function, or you're actually pulling from up there near the master point, because your prusik hitch could get dragged back through the carabiner that you're using as your master point, and that you're using instead of a pulley. Okay, you can remove that ice screw. And Jesse, just let me know when you're ready for us to haul. Okay, ready to haul?
Ready.
Okay, and if I were to stay up here, you see that upward pull that I'm producing on the anchor potentially, if I were to stay in an upright position all the way through. So I'm actually going to get down on my hands and knees when I pull. That's going to get more in line here and produce more power, because I'm going to drive from my legs a little bit better. Okay, hauling. Alright, so that was pretty easy. There are some scenarios where the person who's in the crevasse can't get up and over the lip, so you need to tie some knots in the rope and throw them down so they can use them as a ladder, if they're physically able to use the ladder to get up and over. Otherwise, you might need to set up a simple 2-to-1 haul system to take their backpack out and later to take them out, or be creative in the way that you get up and over that lip, depending on the shape of the crevasse. But well done, everyone. Yeah, that was good.
Thanks for rescuing me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.